It is now that time of year. We are officially halfway through the year that is 2025, and it has been a strange year for games. On the one hand, we've had some absolute bangers this year with games like Split Fiction, which I have yet to play, but I've heard it's great, and Expedition 33, which I have played, and I love it. Not to mention, a whole new Nintendo console came out this year and gave us the long-awaited new Mario Kart game. But on the other hand, I feel like we just haven't really gotten many heavy hitters. But when you look at the second half of the year, that's where the heavy hitters seem to be coming. Now, I will admit, this list could have been a top 10. The 5 games just outside the top 10 have a bit of an asterisk next to them that I'll explain when I get to them, but still, this was kinda always gonna be a top 15, and I just sorta stuck with that. And as per usual, no remasters or collections or remakes that are more one-to-one. So as excited as I am to play Final Fantasy Tactics The Ivalice Chronicles, and even though I was really close to including it on this list despite the rule, it won't make the list. Shout out to that game though, cause I can't wait. Also, these games have to be confirmed to be coming out this year. Doesn't need an exact date, but as long as it says coming 2025, it's allowed. Also, this is my opinion, so yeah. Anyways, let's get into this. Hi guys, ZPX here, counting down the top 15 most anticipated games of 2025, in my personal opinion. Now before we get started, you know what to do. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell, leave a comment, or I will ransack your house.
Number 15, Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you'd want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus, but as it turns out, that might be what you get.
At the time of recording this, Nintendo has not given us a Nintendo Direct. Now to be fair, they did just have one in April, and the rumor is that we are not getting one till July. But that means in a rare instance, I make this list without much of an idea of what Nintendo's slate will look like. And it's also because of that puts Kirby Air Riders at number 15. Now don't get me wrong, I cannot wait to play this game. Kirby Air Ride, despite being, a spin-off, is probably one of the best Kirby games out there. And you also have Masahiro Sakurai himself coming back to work on this game, his first Kirby game since, well, the first Kirby Air Ride. And also seeing how Smash is like my favorite game franchise ever, and that's probably what Sakurai is best known for, all that and more is enough to get me excited. The reason it's not higher though is because we've seen practically nothing for this game. Just a CG trailer and a window for 2025. And to be fair, there is a good chance that we will see more really soon. But as of now, going off of what we got, which isn't much, I can't put it higher. But either way, I'm still hyped for Kirby Air Riders as it is set to release sometime this year for the Nintendo Switch 2.
Where is the number of the day? Where can it be? 14!
Thought I was done with racing games? Nah, Kirby Air Riders is most likely going to be really damn good. But just like I said, the only thing keeping it from placing higher is that we really haven't seen anything. But not only are we getting Kirby Air Riders, we of course also got Mario Kart World. But that's not even everything, as we are also getting Sonic Racing Cross Worlds. Now I'm going to say something that I don't think I've ever really said on this channel before, because I don't actually think I've ever talked about it, but Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed is one of my favorite games ever made. I fucking love that game. But the Sonic Racing game we got after though, Team Sonic Racing, I never played. So I was going into Cross Worlds a little more cautiously, but after seeing what we've seen, I think it looks really solid. Taking many characters from all over Sonic and even some Sega franchises and characters like Ichiban, Hatsune Miku, and Joker from Persona 5, and that's not even mentioning the characters from SpongeBob, Minecraft, TMNT, and Avatar The Last Airbender. I'll admit, I wasn't too sure about that at first, but I've kinda come around to it. The only reason this game isn't higher is because A, as much as I have a soft spot for the Sonic Racing series, I'm not entirely sold on this game being $70. And B, it comes out the same day as another game I'm a bit more excited for. So I might have to wait on this one, but either way, I'm still excited to play Sonic Racing Cross Worlds as it releases for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, PC, and Switch on September 25th. Xbox had a surprisingly great year so far in terms of their output. A good chunk of which was also on PS5, sure, but only within the first half of the year, they not only put out more games than they have in a while, I think they might have put out more games than Sony or Nintendo. However, it seems they are slowing down a bit in the second half of the year, which is a little disappointing, but at the same time, they do have The Outer Worlds 2. Now, I'll admit, although I got nothing against it, I was never really the biggest fan of the first game. It was a solid game, but I remember it getting nominated for a bunch of awards, and many people gave it their Game of the Year, and I never agreed with that. Plus, I've seen nothing to convince me that this game needs to be more than $70. I said that about Mario Kart World, and I'll say it about this. But all that aside, Outer Worlds 2 looks like it can possibly be a more improved version of an already solid game, with more worlds and things to do in general. The Outer Worlds 2 is looking like a great time, but again, it's only not higher because honestly, not sure if I would be there day one had it not been for Game Pass. But either way, I'll check out The Outer Worlds 2 as it releases for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series along with Game Pass day one on October 24th.
You win. Alright, that's cool.
Fighting games are doing good right now. I mean, this year we got Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, and Capcom Fighting Collection 2, and the Mortal Kombat Collection is even supposed to release sometime this year, but it's a collection so it's not eligible. But let's not forget that Riot Games is joining the fray with their own fighting game, 2XKO. Now I'll just say, I was never really the biggest fan of Riot Games, as their two biggest games, League of Legends and Valorant, just don't interest me. But even despite that, 2XKO is looking rather unique in the fighting game space, as it is a tag fighter, but not just any ordinary tag fighter, but rather a co-op tag fighter, meaning you can have you and one of your friends face two of your other friends. That is so cool. Plus all the characters they've been showing off and impressions from people who played the beta just gets me more excited. But what's that asterisk next to 2XKO though? Well, I'm starting to doubt if this game is actually going to come out this year because, I mean, time is ticking. But either way, whenever we get it, I'm excited to play at 2XKO as it releases for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series sometime this year, and for free.
Number 11. Your father will die.
So I'm sure you guys all know Cuphead. Tough as nails, run and gun, platformer with an old Steamboat Willie-esque aesthetic. And I'm sure you all know Doom. For this discussion, specifically Classic Doom, as it is considered a boomer shooter. But what if you took the gameplay of one and the aesthetic of the other and make it monochromatic and you get Mouse, PI for hire? Every time they show this game, I get more and more excited. It's a game where the aesthetic alone got me interested, but then throw that in with the gameplay that we keep seeing for this game, along with Troy Baker voicing our titular character, whose name, by the way, is Jack Pepper, and I can't wait for this game. What's the asterisk next to this one? Well, it's similar to 2XKO, as we are still waiting on a release date and time is ticking. Especially since we just saw this game at Summer Games Fest, which felt like the right time to reveal a release date and they didn't. I saw a post from them explaining why, and it's understandable, but still, like 2XKO, I'm really starting to doubt we will actually get this game this year. But regardless, I'm excited to play Mouse PI for hire, as it releases sometime this year for PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and Switch 2.
I wanted to give to you, in the last part of your notes here, the significance spiritually of the number 10 in the Bible.
We see a lot of franchises make the pivot to open world. Sometimes it can be refreshing for this series that typically hasn't gone in that direction before. But a lot of people seem to be sick of open world games. Regardless of your stance on the matter though, when a franchise is typically open world and makes the pivot away from that, and it's seen as a refreshing new direction, you get a game like Mafia: The Old Country. I'll admit, I was never really the biggest fan of the Mafia series. I didn't play any of them until they got their respective remasters, and even then, I played like a couple hours of one of them, and I can't even really remember which one. However, Mafia: The Old Country is taking a less is more approach. It's not a big open world, it's not even a full $70 or $80. It just seems like a smaller budget, more streamlined Mafia game, and you know what? I'm down for that. This game seems to have a compelling story with engaging stealth combat, and just seems like it'll be a fun time. I'm excited to play Mafia: The Old Country, as it releases for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on August 8th. Silent Hill is low-key coming back. I mean, last year we got Silent Hill 2 remake, and we also got a bunch more Silent Hill games announced, including a recently announced remake of the first Silent Hill game. But let's not forget that we are set to be getting a brand new installment this year with Silent Hill F. First of all, weird ass title, don't quite know what the F is supposed to mean. Maybe it's in the trailers and I missed it, or maybe it's something in the game. I don't know, but who cares? Seems like a creepy and gruesome Silent Hill game, and I mean that as a compliment. It takes place in Japan, which is a new setting for the franchise, or at least like refreshing, I guess, and seems to be harkening back to older forgotten horror games like Siren, Kuon, and Fatal Frame. Plus, I think I heard a rumor that this game takes place in the Siren universe. Don't know if that's true, but I felt like mentioning it, because if that is true, that's cool. But additionally, it also includes some action elements that seem similar to the combat in Silent Hill 2 remake, which I actually think is cool. I'm excited to play Silent Hill F as it releases for PC and PS5 on September 25th, the same day as Sonic Racing. There it is. One thing I've been begging for years is for Sega to bring back their old franchises. You look at all the Sega Genesis collections they put out, and you see just how many games they got on there, and you just wonder, why isn't Sega doing anything with these games? But then they announced a whole bunch of their franchises will be coming back, and the first, Shinobi, with the new game Shinobi Art of Vengeance. This game looks fucking amazing. Of course, it's a 2D side-scroller. I'd be a bit confused had it been anything else, really, with some deep combat and parkour mechanics. Not to mention, while it isn't a Metroidvania, it looks like it'll be having some elements of one. But my god, that combat in this game looks so cool, and I hope this tells Sega to keep bringing back their old franchises. Not to mention, it's being done by Lizard Cube, the same developers as Streets of Rage 4, which just gets me more excited. I'm hyped to play Shinobi Art of Vengeance as it releases for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC on August 29th.
36.
Very close, but that's not it. Let's go to Gary the Retard. What number between 2 and 4?
7.
I mentioned that Shinobi Art of Vengeance is being developed by the Streets of Rage 4 devs, and a lot of people have misinterpreted that in other places as .mu is making it. That is not true. Sure, .mu published Streets of Rage 4, but it's developed by Lizard Cube. That's not a knock on .mu, by the way, as legitimately, indie or not, they might be a top 5 favorite game publisher for me today. And they are still putting out a game that looks like an absolute banger in Marvel Cosmic Invasion. I think one thing .mu excels at is their retro-style beat-em-ups. They hit it out of the park with Streets of Rage 4, as I mentioned, along with TMNT Shredder's Revenge. And Marvel Cosmic Invasion seems to be along those lines, as it's a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up with a 90s arcade aesthetic with Marvel characters. And you get to choose between 15 of them, by the way, with only 9 of them being revealed so far. This just looks like so much fun. I'm sure I can have fun with this game, even by myself, but definitely more so with friends. I cannot wait to play Marvel Cosmic Invasion as it releases for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series, Switch, and PC sometime this year. I think they said a holiday, so I'll be expecting like a November release.
Okay, Mrs. Puff, what's my final score?
6. Woo! Going back to what I said earlier about people thinking that Shinobi is being done by .mu and thus .mu has 2 games coming out this year, except Shinobi is not .mu. By some weird coincidence, .mu is still putting out yet another game this year in addition to Marvel Cosmic Invasion. And just like Shinobi, it's bringing back a dormant franchise about a ninja, and that is Ninja Gaiden Ragebound. It has been a long time since we got a new Ninja Gaiden game. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black from earlier this year notwithstanding, that is. But it's been even longer since we've gotten a 2D side-scrolling Ninja Gaiden game. Like, holy shit, when was it? Like, Ninja Gaiden 3 for the NES? The NES? Not to mention, this game seems to be keeping the difficulty that Ninja Gaiden is somewhat known for, with some remix songs from the original games. In one of the trailers for this game, there is a remix of Unbreakable Determination, which is, the song that's currently playing in the background right now. And I think with that, everything will be right with the world. Not to mention, multiple playable characters, and you got a game that I need yesterday with Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, as it releases for PS4, PS5, Switch, PC, and Xbox Series, including, I'm pretty sure, Game Pass Day 1. I think I heard that from somewhere. Don't quote me on that, but it's coming July 31st.
Oh, chills. Literal chills.
It was number 5. Number 5 killed my brother.
Oh my god.
I make these lists twice a year. Once at the beginning for my most anticipated games for the entire year, and then in the middle of the year, I revise it to count down what I'm looking forward to for the rest of the year, because new games get announced and all that. Duh. But I can't recall ever making a list like this, where 2 games in the same franchise made the list. And not only that, but if that were to ever happen, I never in a million years thought that it would happen to Ninja Gaiden. As not only are we getting Ninja Gaiden Ragebound later this month, not only did we get Ninja Gaiden 2 Black earlier this year, we are still getting Ninja Gaiden 4 later this year. It warms my heart to see Ninja Gaiden really coming back. Who knows how this will turn out, but looking at Ninja Gaiden 4, it looks fucking epic. It seems to be continuing the type of combat that the first 3 games had, and the easy pivot would have been to make it into like a Souls-like. But they didn't do that, and nothing against Souls-likes, but had Ninja Gaiden 4 been one, it probably would have blended a bit too much with the crowd. But the combat seems engaging, an interesting story where you don't play as Ryu Hayabusa, the face of the series, and not to mention, fucking Platinum Games developed this game. Sure, it's made up by a different group of people as opposed to the one that we are used to, but still, that's sick. Give me Ninja Gaiden 4 right now. I'm sure it'll be worth the wait, as it releases for PC, PS5, and Xbox Series, along with Game Pass Day 1 on October 21st. I said at the beginning that remakes are allowed as long as they are different enough from their original game, but I didn't notice that I barely included any remakes until Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. And to be fair, maybe this remake is a little more one-to-one than what I would normally allow, so maybe it shouldn't be on here, but I'll let it slide because holy shit, this game looks amazing. You're taking Metal Gear Solid 3, one of the greatest games of all time, and remaking it from the ground up with new visuals, possibly improved combat, but while keeping the same convoluted yet endearing story, and even the voice cast. Not to mention, they've already confirmed that the Weird Ape Escape crossover is coming back with Snake Escape, and they even teased online. Not only does Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater look to be a solid remake of the original classic, but almost like a definitive edition too, as it's bringing back everything. I cannot wait to play Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater as it releases for PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on August 28th. Why does it have to be the day before Shinobi? You can say whatever you want about PlayStation this generation, and a lot of those things you can say are criticisms, and a lot of those are valid. But one thing I will stand by is that the games they put out are amazing. And I know a lot of them recently are sequels from the PS4, but even still, those sequels are amazing. And with that all said, I am beyond excited for the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima with Ghost of Yotei. Every time Sony shows this game, it looks amazing. Whether it be visuals, combat, story, you name it. It just seems like a perfect follow-up to Ghost of Tsushima. And I'll be honest, I wasn't so sure about moving on from Jin Sakai and picking an all-new cast of characters, because I thought there might have been more to explore there. But the more time went by, the more it grew on me, and the more excited I got to see the story of Atsu. And also, don't let the grifters convince you that this game looks bad. The hate for this game is one of the most forced things I've ever seen, as Ghost of Yotei looks like a potential Game of the Year contender. The only reason it's not higher is because, admittedly, it does kind of just seem like more Ghost of Tsushima, but even then, is that really a bad thing? I cannot wait to play Ghost of Yotei as it releases for PS5 on October 2nd.
Pencil do we take again?
Number 2. Take a number 2.
Looks like you took a big number 2.
Switch 2 is now out, and has been for a month. Or at least by the time you see this, it'll be closer to a month. But what's crazy is that we are still waiting for a game that was announced during the first year of the Switch 1. And I started getting concerned it was just going to be vaporware. But I am beyond excited, pun not intended, but I am beyond excited that this year we will finally be getting Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. The long-awaited 4th Metroid Prime game. Even like before being announced it was a long-awaited sequel. And now seeing that it's finally happening, it's almost surreal. It looks to be a proper next step after the Metroid Prime trilogy that we got while introducing more mechanics like how Samus now has psychic powers, and not to mention, it already looks damn good for the Switch. But then the Switch 2 version, which will have a performance mode and fidelity mode, something of which no Nintendo game has had to my memory, and even allowing for mouse controls so you can play this game almost like an FPS on PC, and it's about time. I cannot wait to finally play Metroid Prime 4 Beyond as it releases for Switch and Switch 2 sometime this year. Even though this was a top 15, I still got some honorable mentions, so let's take a look at some of them.
I'm Luigi, number 1.
I'll be honest, when I made this list at the beginning of the year, GTA 6 was number 1, but then it got delayed. So naturally, Metroid Prime 4 ended up being number 1, with Ghost of Yotei at number 2, and this game at number 3. However, because of what we've been seeing from this game, it slowly creeped up to the top spot, and now I cannot wait to play Donkey Kong Bonanza. Sure, maybe because of just how long we've been waiting for it and how surreal it is that we are finally getting it, maybe Metroid Prime 4 should be number 1. But Donkey Kong Bonanza seems like a game we rarely get. This seems like a game we were never going to get. It's the first Donkey Kong game since Tropical Freeze from 11 years ago, and as for 3D Donkey Kong, the first game since Donkey Kong 64, the Nintendo 64. But on top of that, every time they show this game, it looks better and better. The visuals look like it truly could only work on Switch 2. The environments and everything being destructible make Bonanza distinct from other 3D platformers. The other mechanics in the game that would only make sense if you're playing a Donkey Kong game look really cool in a 3D platformer, and all the big like power-up transformations that Donkey Kong has looks amazing, and I simply cannot wait for this game. I highly doubt any game this year will beat Expedition 33 as my game of the year, but the fact that I'm even entertaining the idea that Donkey Kong has the potential to do so, I think says a lot. I need Donkey Kong Bonanza as it releases for Switch 2 on July 17th, and it's not $80, look at that. So yeah, that's this list. Those are my 15 most anticipated games of the year. Obviously, there's some games I left out. You saw the honorable mentions, and also Final Fantasy Tactics, I'm excited for that. But what are you looking forward to? You don't have to give me 15, you can give me as many as you want. And yeah, if you like this video, come subscribe, or I will ransack your house. Bye!